Senator Kennedy, I thought, down in Louisiana, had a good line on this one. And also, he's just, I love a good Southern accent, but Kennedy, man, his is great. Play clip 9.
We have people on Capitol Hill, I'm sad to say, that think cops are guilty until proven innocence. And I'm going to say what I said the other day. If you hate cops just because they're cops, next time you get in trouble, call them a crackhead. I don't think, well, let me put it another way. I think we got more honest cops than we got honest politicians.
We definitely have more honest cops than we do honest politicians, so that's a good line. And yeah, I mean, if you don't like cops, what are you going to do when bad things happen to you? What you going to do when they come for you? Bad boys, bad boy. I mean, we can't even watch it anymore. The show is gone. I remember being a really young kid, and I'd sometimes get to go in and sneak into my parents' room as they were watching the show or movie, and if I was kind of quiet and well behaved, I'd just sort of, sit on the floor or whatever, and they would watch that. My dad used to watch that show sometimes, and yeah, man, the cops are the good guys. It shows you what it's like to be a cop, and they are the good guys and gals, of course. But speaking of what happens when you don't have cops, we're getting a neighborhood in Minneapolis. And I know we're on a great station up in Minneapolis, and we've got a really loyal audience there, and it's growing every month. So thank you very much for that. And my heart goes out to all of Team Buck in the Minneapolis area because, man, that city is just ground zero for the crazy right now. It really is. So there's this area called Powderhorn Park. And the decision was made because people started showing up here, vagrants and such. People decided in this area that they weren't going to call the cops. They wanted to be welcoming. And now, guess what ends up happening? Well, when you take an area, when you take a park where you're creating not a cop-free zone, it's not quite as bad as Seattle, but where no one's going to call the cops on what's going on. The police can't be everywhere. So, and they probably don't want to get involved in this situation at all. What you have is now an area where there's a lot of bad stuff happening. Oh my gosh. You mean that when you refuse to call police because you think calling cops is racist? Bringing in the cops is racist? When you refuse to do that, bad things are going to happen? Yeah, this was the Daily Mail piece. Minneapolis neighborhood that vowed not to call cops after George Floyd's death is now struggling with a 300-person homeless camp plagued by drug dealers in their local park. Yeah. So here they've set up this. It's effectively like an Occupy encampment. And this was those who lived nearby to where Floyd was killed at the hands of cops on 25th of May welcomed dozens of tents to Powderhorn Park while the displaced people look for permanent accommodation, urging officials not to evict them for now. But in the past 2 weeks, they've been using the open space. Some people housed have complained about a heavy flow of traffic at night, keeping them up, and drug dealers. And 2 people have already overdosed and been carted away by the EMS services. Yep, that's right. People think that it's fine. We're not going to call the cops. A lot of drug dealing going on. Bad things are going to happen here. But to call the cops on those displaced into this park would be racist. Okay. This reminds me a little bit of from my childhood. I lived on the east side in Manhattan at a time when all of Manhattan was pretty sketchy at night. And there was an encampment that was set up, and it was under a temple, a Jewish temple, because it had an overhang over the street. So it wasn't inside the temple, but there was an area that was sheltered. And this became an open air homeless and vagrant shelter, although it wasn't supposed to be. And you would have 50 to 100 people who would show up. And there was a city councilman here in New York. I remember this very well from when I was a kid, city councilman in New York. And they would show up and give out little cooking stoves, and they would give out mattresses and cardboard boxes, and they would set up this encampment. And this was right around the corner. I mean, 50 feet from the entrance of the building that I lived in with my whole family, and I was a little kid. Then I remember at night hearing the yells from in there and everything else. And this was in what would be considered a well-off neighborhood of New York, but the city council didn't want to move them. Didn't want to move. That would be, I don't know, racist or not enough social justice if you move them. And they had to, and the city council and the NYPD, this was under the Dinkins administration, they wouldn't deal with it. That Jewish temple had to raise, I think it was $1 million to build a steel gate to put up because the city would not clear out this open air homeless shelter that I remember being a little 10-year-old kid, holding my mom's hand going to church and thinking, this doesn't feel safe, because it wasn't. But that's liberal Democrat policy for you, folks. That's what it gets you. Hey, Team Buck, thank you so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you like this video, please click that little thumbs up button so then it will log as liked. And also, if you want to see more great content from The First, please click subscribe.